Hello viewers, it's a great pleasure to have you once again on Nebo TV. My name is Agbaje Onome. Today on Nebo TV, we're going to be looking at something our educational system or even our school curriculum would definitely not teach us. The true, deep and interesting story of a journalist, an activist, and the first president of Nigeria, the president of Nnamdi Azikiwe. So stay with us as we go briefly into his early life from his birth. Stay tuned.
Azikiwe was born on the 16th of November 1904 in Zingaro, northern Nigeria. His first name means "my father is alive" in the Igbo language, and his parents were Igbo. His father, Obed Edom Chukwuemeka Azikiwe, a native of Onitsha, was a clerk in the British administration of Nigeria who traveled extensively as part of his job. Azikiwe's mother was Rachel Chinwe Ogbenyanu Azikiwe. Her family descended from a royal family in Onitsha, and her paternal great-grandfather was Obi. Azikiwe had one sibling, a sister named Cecilia Eziamaka Arinze. As a young boy, Azikiwe spoke Hausa, the regional language. His father, concerned about his son's influence in Hausa and not Igbo, sent him to Onitsha in 1912. In 1918, he was back in Onitsha and finished his elementary education at CMS Central School. Azikiwe then worked at a school as a student teacher, supporting his mother with his earnings. In 1920, his father was posted back to southern Nigeria in the southern east city of Calabar. Azikiwe joined his father in Calabar, beginning secondary school at the Hope Waddell Training College. He was introduced to the teachings of Marcus Garvey, Garveyism, which became an important part of his nationalistic rhetoric.
After attending Hope Waddell, Azikiwe transferred to a Methodist Boys High School in Lagos State. So stay with us as we go deeply into his educational aspect.
After attending Hope Waddell, Azikiwe transferred to Methodist Boys High School in Lagos and befriended classmates from old Lagos families. These connections were later beneficial to his political career in Lagos. Azikiwe heard a lecture by James Aggrey, an educator who believed that Africans should receive a college education abroad and return to effect change. After the lecture, Aggrey gave the young Azikiwe a list of schools accepting black students in America. After completing his secondary education, Azikiwe applied to the Colonial Service and was accepted as a clerk in the Treasury Department. His time in the Colonial Service exposed him to racial bias in the colonial government. Determined to travel abroad for further education, Azikiwe applied to universities in the US. He was admitted by Stora College, contingent on his finding a way to America. Azikiwe attended Stora College, a 2-year preparatory school in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. To fund his living expenses and tuition, he competed in athletics and on cross-country teams before transferring to Howard University in Washington, D.C. Azikiwe was a member of Phi Beta Sigma. He then enrolled at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania in 1930, receiving a master's degree in religion in 1932. In 1934, he received a master's degree in anthropology from the University of Pennsylvania. Azikiwe became a graduate student instructor in the History and Political Science department at Lincoln University, where he created a course in African history.
Interestingly, Azikiwe was into sport in his time and he competed in various sport activities like swimming, football, tennis, boxing, and a host of others. He was an uncle to a footballer named Jeffrey Sapong, and he was also a fan of Celtic Football Club. So stay tuned as we go into this in detail.
Football was brought to Nigeria by the British as they colonized Africa. However, any league that formed were segregated. Nnamdi saw this as an injustice and he emerged as the leader in terms of connecting sports and politics at the end of colonial period. In 1934, Azikiwe was denied the right to compete in a track and field event because Nigeria was not allowed to participate. This happened another time because of his Igbo background. And then Azikiwe had decided that enough was enough and wanted to create his own club. Nnamdi founded Zik Athletic Club, ZAC, which would open its doors to sportsmen and women of all races, nationalities, tribes and classes of Nigeria. In 1942, the club went on to win both the Lagos League and the War Memorial Cup. After these victories, Nnamdi opened up more branches throughout Nigeria. During the war years, ZAC would go on tours. They usually play a match in front of a couple thousand fans, and after the match, they would speak out about the injustice that was British colonization.
Alright viewers, we're going to go into his works as a journalist. Azikiwe's initial goal was to get a job commensurate with his education, but after several failed unsuccessful applications and even for a post of a teacher in King's College, he later accepted an offer from a Ghanaian businessman, Alfred Okense, and he became a founding editor in the African Morning Post, a daily newspaper in Accra, Ghana. So stay tuned.
West African pilot, which used Nigeria from 1954 to 1959. By the 1960s, after Nigerian independence, the National West African pilot was particularly influential in the East. Azikiwe took particular aim in political groups which advocated exclusion. He was criticized by a Yoruba faction for using his newspaper to suppress opposition to his views.
Alright viewers, let's move straight to what we've been waiting for, his political career in Nigeria. So stay tuned as we bring you this big gist.
Azikiwe became active in the Nigerian youth movement, the country's first nationalist organization, although supported Samuel Akinsanya as the Nigerian youth movement candidate for a vacant seat in the Legislative Council in 1941. The Nigerian Youth Movement Executive Council selected Ernest Colley. Azikiwe resigned from the Nigerian youth movement, accusing the majority Yoruba leadership of discriminating against the Ijebu Yoruba members and Igbos. Some Ijebu members followed him, splitting the movement along ethnic lines. He entered politics, co-founding the National Council of Nigeria and Cameroon (NCNC) with Herbert Macaulay in 1944. Azikiwe became the Council Secretary General in 1946.
As a result of Azikiwe's support for general election on June 1945, as well as his attack on the colonial government, it actually led to the suspension of West African pilots on the 8th of July that same year, 1945. So stay tuned.
He praised the striking workers and their leaders, Michael Maudu, accusing the colonial government of exploiting the working class. In August 1945, the newspaper was allowed to resume publication. During the strike, Azikiwe raised the alarm about an assassination plot by unknown individuals working on behalf of the colonial government. His basis for the allegation was a wireless message intercepted by a pilot reporter. After receiving the intercepted message, Azikiwe went into hiding in Onitsha. The pilot published sympathetic editorial during his absence, and many Nigerians believed the assassination story. Azikiwe's popularity and his newspaper circulation increased during this period. The allegations were doubted by some Nigerians who believed that he made them up to raise his profile. The skeptics were primarily Yoruba politicians from the Nigerian youth movement, creating a rift between the faction and the press war between Azikiwe's pilot and the Nigeria youth movement's daily service.
In 1950 to 1953, under the Richest Constitution, Nnamdi Azikiwe was elected to the Legislative Council in Lagos State municipal election from the National Democratic Party. Stay tuned.
Under the Richards Constitution, Azikiwe was elected to the Legislative Council in a Lagos municipal election from the National Democratic Party. He and the party representative did not attend the first session of the council, and agitation for changes to the Richards Constitution led to the Macpherson Constitution. The Macpherson Constitution took effect in 1951, and like the Richards Constitution, called for elections to the Regional House of Assembly. Azikiwe opposed the changes and contested for the chance to change the new constitution.
Nnamdi Azikiwe, who became the first president of Nigeria, died at age 91 on 11th May 1996 at a hospital in the eastern part of Nigeria. He was being treated of undisclosed ailment. His death was reported on 13th May 1966 by the news agency of Nigeria.
Nnamdi Azikiwe became Governor General on 16 November 1960 with Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as Prime Minister and became the first Nigerian named to the Privy Council of the United Kingdom. When Nigeria became a republic in 1963, he was its first president in both positions. Azikiwe's role was largely ceremonial. He and his civilian colleagues were removed from office in 15 January 1966 military coup, and he was the most prominent politician to avoid assassination after the coup. Azikiwe was a spokesman for Biafra and advised its leader, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, during the Biafran War from 1967 to 1970. He switched his allegiance back to Nigeria during the war and appealed to Ojukwu to end the war in pamphlets and interviews. After the war, Azikiwe was Chancellor of the University of Lagos from 1972 to 1976. He joined the Nigeria People's Party in 1978, making unsuccessful bids for the presidency in 1979 and 1983. He left politics involuntarily after the 31st December 1983 military coup. Nnamdi Azikiwe died at age 91 on 11th May 1996 at the University of Nigerian Teaching Hospital in Enugu after a long illness, and is buried in his native town, Onitsha.
This great man did a lot in terms of his publication, his political career. He achieved a lot, and also he received a lot of honorary award. And so we will be dishing out these briefly. Stay with us.
Nnamdi Azikiwe was inducted into the Agbalaza Society of Onitsha as Onyelogu in 1946, a recognition for Onitsha men with significant accomplishments. He established the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1960, and Queen Elizabeth II appointed him to the Privy Council of the United Kingdom. He was made Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, Nigeria's highest national honor, in 1980. He received so many awards, of which his picture appears on Nigeria's 500 Naira banknote since 2001.
Alright viewers, we've come to the end of today's episode on Nebo TV. Hope to see you next time. Same channel, Nebo TV. Subscribe. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Stay safe.